Welcome back to the final installment of this week's Pass the Ride.
I've seen a lot of people hating me, and I didn't know what to feel about that, so I guess I didn't like you much, none either.
Я думаю, что я не любил их тоже.
During this fight, I've seen a lot of changing.
В течение всего этого боя я понял, что многое изменилось.
The way you felt about me, and the way I felt about you.
Я почувствовал, что вы тоже изменились.
In here, there were two guys killing each other, but I guess that's better than 20 million.
Я думаю, что это лучше, чем даже 20 миллионов долларов.
So what I'm trying to say is that if I can change,
Я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился.
then you can change.
Вы можете измениться.
First place, Texas Rangers.
But anyways,
My heart.
we'll move on over to the baseball side of things because that's the sport that I like to watch the most. When
Yes.
hockey's not on, it's tough. It's really a toss-up right now at this point in my life. But so before we get to what's going on with the Rangers, do got to mention the passing of a legend yesterday, September 26th. We lost Brooks Robinson, who I don't really expect you to know much about. He would have retired in 77, debuted in 55. But he's just, he's a lifer. 18-time All-Star, 2 times World Series. Only won 1 MVP, which is always kind of weird. But he got 16 Gold Gloves. He won a Roberto Clemente Award, which is basically their Walter Payton Man of the Year award for people who don't know.
The NFL
So Bruce
term
Robinson,
is
just
always a good one.
an absolute legend. Played for the Orioles his entire career. So for the maybe the end of the peak era of baseball being the ruling sport, he was one of the guys, and he was definitely one of the guys in Baltimore, which is a very historic franchise. So it's obviously he born in 1937. He got to 86, so that's a nice long life. So it's not like not like Kobe dying. It's not that kind of tragedy, but it's still sad, obviously, and it's still worth mentioning. He's one of those guys when you're playing games that have like the legacy guys. He's gonna be in there. I was trying to think of an NBA equivalent, but I don't know well enough on either side. I don't know specifically about his career outside of it's just one of those names I've always heard. Synonymous with Baltimore and synonymous with
That's
the
fair.
MLB.
It's very fair.
Yeah.
No, and this
so
is, I'm
I-
assuming, prior to Cal Ripken, right?
Oh yeah, like I said,
Way
he
prior.
retired in '77.
Oh, retired in
Ripken's-
77. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought-
he debuted 55, retired in 77. Ripken debuted, I think, in 83, and they won the World Series that year, or he debuted in 83 and they won it in 84, something like that, right around there. Yeah. So yeah, before Cal, this was their franchise. So just wanted to mention that, make sure we get that
Fair enough. I appreciate
get
that.
that
Saw it on
some
the
whatever
ticker.
attention it needs. Yeah.
No, I respect that. You gotta pay homage to the legends.
And yeah, I've never, and I don't think I'll have to edit this out. I'll look it up later. I've never heard any untoward stuff, and for someone from that long ago to me not immediately already be like, oh yeah, I heard this. That's probably a good sign.
Honestly,
but
that's
anyways,
good
we'll-
because if your image of an old white guy named Brooks is that, was he a white guy? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, he was playing baseball in '55.
I get
it's
it.
like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That I don't know the exact baseball one, but I can do the equivalent to NBA. And that sounds about right. About
But
white.
yes, he is a Caucasian presenting male.
And that's a nice image because when I think old white dude named Brooks, I think of the Shawshank Redemption and institutionalization. And
That's
that's
fair.
a little darker.
That's one that I have not actually watched, but I know just you know everything about it just from having lived in life in America.
That's
I still
fair.
do need to watch it, but
It's a good one. Yeah, I mean,
I bet. Yeah.
It's long.
It's
It's
highly
interesting that
regarded.
it's always on TV in a way. Like it's kind of one of those movies you watch like the real version, like the unedited version. And you're like, this is always on TV all the time, but it gets away with it because it's all like alluded
It's
to.
classic.
Mm.
But anyways, we'll move on to the first place Texas Rangers, who just kept winning last week and hauled off and got themselves back into first place, which we weren't necessarily expecting. When I was cutting up the audio for last week's episode, which I guess would have been Friday night, and I couldn't finalize anything because I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to if I needed to put the first place Texas Rangers drop back in. I ended up getting to put it back in, so that was pretty fun.
Thank you, Houston.
I love to see it. Yeah, and thank you, Kansas City. I guess I don't know what happened there. Houston's a pretty confusing team, much like us, where it's like, all right, sometimes you're probably the best team in baseball, and other times you look like the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I feel you on that because
that is an unnecessary shot, especially coming from a Texas Rangers fan. But go ahead.
Hey, you know what? If I wasn't a Rangers fan, I would consider the Pirates. I like this stuff. It looks cool.
I like the whole Pittsburgh black and gold look for all their teams.
Looks
Smart.
nice. Well, the Raiders could do some stuff, but let's not get into that.
What? The who?
Or the Steelers.
Okay.
Anyway, so what I was trying to ask you about and what I'm really kind of worried about into this, Houston looks like a shell of themselves, which is good. Here's my problem. Here's my issue. I can see what a playoff bracket looks like. And even if this keeps going our way, it may not end up going our way. And I don't like that. I'm already kind of getting scared. The playoff bracket currently has the Twins and the Astros playing each other in the first round for the rights to play the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. I need the Astros to fucking die. If the Twins beat us, it is what it is. Good game.
I mean, really,
if the Astros come back to life to beat us, fuck that. I don't want that.
So a lot of that's going to have to do. So us, the Rangers is us, because I'm a fan first. I'm not a objective journalist in this sense.
I really should have changed into the jersey. I should have.
Yeah, me too. But so the Rangers, Astros, and Mariners all have 5 games left, right? Math.
Yeah, I know that there's
the Astros have one
3.
less. The Astros have played one more game, so they have 4 games left. So the Astros and Mariners finish up their series tonight. The Mariners haven't been doing a good job in that one of fighting for us. We were kind of hoping they would take 2 or 3, and I think they've lost both.
No, they won last night too. They won last night. They've split, I think.
Oh, they split them? Okay. I fell asleep. Well, actually, no, I stayed up. I missed everything because I spent 3 hours reading court documents that are completely unrelated to me. But
the more you know.
So the Rangers and Mariners have 5 games left, 4 of which are against each other. The Astros have 1 tonight against the Mariners, and then 3 against. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, and then 3 against an Arizona team who is
it was random
in the middle of their wild card race. So they're not playing a cupcake, and they're not playing someone who's locked into anything. That they're going to be playing someone who's going to be trying as hard, just like we are. So
let's go fucking Diamondbacks.
The weird thing, if you really want to look that far ahead and get into why you might be worried about Houston coming to Texas in the playoffs, is because Houston's road record is 47-30, and their home record is 39-42.
Yeah, dude, this is not a fun time. I don't like this.
For some reason, they don't play well at home, but the Rangers do, except not against Houston. And that's another funny aspect to all this is it's kind of been like a rock, paper, scissors thing between the 3 teams, or, like a fire, plant, and water Pokemon type thing where one beats the other, beats the other, beats the other, in a circle.
Right, yeah.
Where we've messed up we've bashed the Mariners bash the Astros, and the Astros bash us.
Yes.
So that's
regularly, and I don't like it.
It's interesting, and it's been really fun, and I'll beat this dead horse to the ground. But if you had told me at any point in the last 6 years that today we would be 2.5 up going into the division. I would have just hands down taken it. Wouldn't have asked any questions. Pretty much any time since like 2016. If you had asked me that, I would have taken this spot right now. So
I get it, and I respect the perspective. At the same time, I don't like. I don't. This is the Cowboy fan in me not liking the narrative. I can see a mile away.
yeah, it's. I mean, they're very different franchises, but and then you also have to remember that
Allegedly,
every year only one team gets to win. And most teams are going to
Yeah,
have a
but I
really
just-
bad win percentage in
Look,
finals.
I could lose to some other teams. If the Twins beat us, it's a good game. I promise. But if the Astros really just revive their season just long enough to fuck our shit up, that's gonna piss me off.
The Twins aren't beating us. But yeah, everyone else. Everyone else I would put on the list.
Because I like this Rangers team. I'm getting more excited about it because the more that they fail, the more they come back, the more I'm in, you know? But at the end of the day,
they're a streaky effing team. And
this team is not ready to win a World Series. It's not a
great way to be. What do you mean? I mean, they're ready to compete for one, I'll tell you that.
They're ready, yes. I agree. I agree. I'm excited to watch them compete.
And then obviously there's what's coming up on the horizon beyond just this year. That's also just kind of buoying me. I mean, obviously, you know, when you're here, you go for it and you try to get it, but there's so much potential and hope in the future with obviously Evan Carter, and then who knows,
future face of the league, in my opinion.
Who knows with Wyatt Langford, like what's going on there, how realistic and even near sustainable his rise through the minors was.
I'm so hyped with Evan. I'm not even, and honestly with Josh still, that I really don't even care at this point. I'm just like, look, if it happens, let's go.
It feels and this is a bad thing to put on any team. It feels very 1995-96 New York Yankees of like, because everyone likes to say the Yankees bought all their players, and there were times where they've done that. But that mid '90s, late '90s team, they got those guys, and they brought in a couple free agents, you know. But the core of that was from the farm or from trades for minor leaguers, whatever, you know.
They had to earn the path.
Yeah, it's still a homegrown. They weren't known commodities until they proved it there, and we're kind of starting to fill out that way.
Hey, I'm not opposed to saying that.
Between two outfielders, one infielder, and maybe a catcher. Who knows what's going on with Jonah Heim? How long that can be sustained? And Garver. It's interesting. We have what is historically one of the best ever catchers at framing, Austin Hedges, just not playing at all. I think he's serving like a Udonis Haslem, Theo Pinson role. Just like he's there, he's hanging out.
He's the vibe captain.
He's supposed to be a lot of fun, and yeah, he's just there.
I fuck with that.
When Jonah got hurt, they brought him in like, might need you.
Which is fair, and he delivered some all right stuff. I mean, in limited appearances, right? Or he was part of a lot of the slump though too.
I know he did come in, but I don't remember. Yeah, and that was a tough time.
Yeah,
a tough time to lose. I think we lost 4 of our 6 All-Stars in the course of a month. I mean,
and even still, a lot of those losses were bullpen
we survived
losses.
Some of it was just the offense would also just go dead for games at a time in the worst spots with runners in scoring position and all that stuff.
Yeah, there was a little bit of
risk. Josh Young comes back, Evan Carter comes up, and all of a sudden it's a brand new lineup again. And the Adelise Garcia injury, which kind of like Saquon earlier this year, it was like that looks really bad, and then it's like, oh well, actually he's gonna be right back. Don't even worry about it. That's pretty cool.
So give him the contract is what I'm trying to say, because that kind of healing stuff I might look. Just pay him how much do I have to give him long-term deals? Does anyone do like simple contracts in baseball?
That kind of healing. Do you want to risk the suspension? It's an interesting thing, and we haven't talked about this, I don't think, on the actual podcast yet. Was it? I can't remember who was recently in the NBA. Derrick Rose talking about HGH and that kind of stuff, and comeback drugs and stuff. So that does deserve a talk, and I think that happens in every sport more than we'd like to admit. Baseball obviously took a huge hit for that.
It's just us
'Cause they let
finding
it get-
out, really.
Because they let it get a little too obvious.
Well, and it's also possible that, and I don't want to speak out of my ass
And
here, but
there's
it's
a
also
difference.
possible.
There's also a difference between HGH and PEDs, and these are all different terms that people just kind of lump all together.
And it's like, what's safe for the players, what's actually an advantage, because that's when it gets into a much weirder world.
And define advantage or define unfair advantage, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna get subjective at some point. But
Yeah.
obviously, when you see players like the growth of Barry Bonds or Mark McGuire, their physical growth, where you're like, that doesn't look right. But if someone, for me at least, if someone's like, I want to come back from this ACL injury a month sooner, I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah,
and
it's as long as you can get around it, and in certain places you can, certain places you can't. That's just how it is right now.
But anyways, that's a weird side that I was not expecting to take.
Well, speaking of HGH, do you think we've pumped it all up in our big trade asset from the
Scherzer? I know they're
I saw another Evan Grant tweet. I saw another Evan Grant tweet.
That's just one of those. So yeah, potentially Max Scherzer, the other giant star pitcher the Rangers acquired this year.
Yeah, we forgot about the
giant
other guy.
Star pitcher the Rangers acquired this year. Excuse me, sorry. They're teasing he might come back as well for the playoffs. So we'll see. I'll believe it when I actually see him in a game.
You think he'll just give it his last shot because this is it? You don't think he's gunning for one more deal after the next one?
No. I mean,
you think he'll retire after next year? Most likely.
He's so old. What is he, like 38?
No, dude. Did you see this clip on Twitter that it showed a Dodgers Diamondbacks game from the 2000s, and it was Randy Johnson versus
purple and black.
Yeah, it was. Well, no, maybe it was Randy Johnson versus not Sandy Koufax. That's too old. Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux.
Oh, okay.
It was those two were supposed to pitch, and they didn't go, and instead we get Scherzer Kershaw.
That's cool.
Baby Scherzer, baby Kershaw.
Yeah, he's 39 as of July 27th, so that means he'll be 40 when he retire or when his contract ends. I don't doubt that he would sign another contract if offered to him. I just also don't know how much more does he have.
Well, I'd like to get it out of him, to be honest. I mean, we got spots. Like, I'm not set on a lot of these guys. I like to have optionality on this Rangers team right now.
No, I mean, the money's spent either way. I mean, obviously, you'd like him to be able to do something for you, but
even moving forward, milk him dry, just like we're gonna do like Chapman's probably done after this year, right?
Dude, that's interesting. His velocity's been way down recently.
Whatever. Let's see what we get out of it.
But they've also, I'm saying, but they've also been able to use him for inning half, close to 2 innings, and that's there's no such thing as whatever. And he's doing fine. He's still getting the outs, just in a different way, which is interesting. And who knows? I mean, if he can learn how to pitch, then all of a sudden he could extend his career. The difference between pitching and throwing. He's got to be up there, but I mean, this
man's been in this man's been a name for at least a decade. So
if he hasn't been throwing this kind of stuff his whole life, and all of a sudden he's throwing more of it, then he's probably risking those weird injuries like Tommy John and stuff. But
TJ,
he hasn't got the wear and tear, so. Well, I think a lot of that wear and tear probably comes from the way he fucking crushes those baseballs.
Hey, well, either way,
Chapman is 35.
35. Well, that's not the worst, but we'll see. Either way, I'm excited.
If you're already losing like if you have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and then all of a sudden it's a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, you're gonna get rocked. You're just absolutely going to get rocked. It's not. The future doesn't look good there.
Speaking of getting rocked, positive momentum on the Rangers tonight, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves.
I guess that game's probably about to start, huh?
First score, just got the notification.
Ooh.
That's what I like to see. But yeah, long story short on the Rangers right now, for sure, at least for me, is I'm still excited. I'm both grateful and worried about the narratives, because Dallas sports teams have a very, 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 very unfortunate and habit, and we all know it. And I don't. Some people are lying to themselves about it. Some people are way too opinionated about it. Either way, we know this shit is real and factual. And the Rangers, I hope, are the team that breaks this. I hope, because they're the first one in line. Because I need them to break it for the rest of them, because they're all stuck. So if it's not them, you could make an argument it might be the second team or the other team that you're responsible for understanding all about and explaining to a
Oh,
simpleton like
I thought you were
myself.
gonna say the ones that play next door, but then we will go
No,
ahead and,
no,
I'll go ahead
we're
and
not
use that
going
as
that
a.
far this week. No, no, no. The train's going the other direction on them.
I'll go,
No, I'm just
I'll go
kidding.
ahead
I'm
and
just
use that as a good transition into a brief little touch on teasing everybody, letting you all know that hockey is back. Camp and preseason started. The Stars won their first preseason game. I can't remember if they played two already.
They
I know
were
they won the
smacking the
first one.
shit out of somebody the other night, and they played last night too, I think.
Yeah, I think it ended 6-1 last night. Or maybe I don't remember. Like you were talking about basketball, the preseason's a whole other thing. That I just don't really. I'm happy because it just means we're almost there.
Yeah, I feel you. My notes were literally, "Fuck, it's already baseball hockey season." That's it.
Yeah, and this is an interesting position that I haven't seen a whole lot of in my life, especially as they start getting more and more analytics and all that crap throwing in. I just say crap to just say all encompassing, all the numbers.
There might be a crap stat. We don't know yet.
The truth stat. Yeah. So this year the Stars are on a lot of projections, actually a top 5 team to do something. You know what? Scratch that. Cutting that part. No one's
They're
ever
the
gonna see
number
I
one
said
team.
that. What I saw was they were ranked 3rd, like most likely to like make the playoffs at like a 98.7% chance.
Vegas and
there was
Boston,
but
probably.
I looked at that chart earlier.
I didn't hear about any
Not bring
big,
it back.
Kevin Durant free agency rumors, so I assume that the NHL is fairly.
And it's always also really weird with hockey because outside of Gretzky, not one person really has ever been that much to. It's hard to be that much when you're only out there for a third of the game or whatever it is.
Jason Robertson still has time to make his mark.
Fair enough. Wyatt Johnson, second years. Yeah, we'll talk a bit about.
I saw Marchment paper getting a little
the
bit
expectations, especially with. What about Marchment?
I just saw a lot. I just saw a lot of goals with his name on it in the highlights.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's looked good. He's looked good early in camp. So this team, if anyone remembers, really crapped the bed in the playoffs against Vegas last year, giving us what might be the worst moment in Dallas Stars history, with the Jamie Benn game misconduct, fans throwing stuff on the ice, just pathetic, terrible.
It felt like another chapter in a book I might write one day. But go ahead.
It looked like the last time a team was ever going to play in a town before they moved away. It was just terrible. Like it felt like they were just going to pick the team up and move them let's just never talk about this again.
We're actually trading. The Dallas Wild and the Minnesota Stars are now a thing.
Oh God, kill me. But as the dust settles, you get some clarity over a few months. And I think I tried to mention this, even though I don't know if I believed it at the time, but last year was a very successful year by all accounts. Jamie Benn had his best year in several years, which made that whole instance sting that much more. And yeah, everything looked great. The old guys were coming through. The young guys are getting a little bit older now. We're bringing up some more guys again. We got Wyatt Johnson, who played the end of last year, played in the playoffs. Just like Jason Robertson, he's kind of one to watch. Still living at Joe Pavelski's house, so that's always good.
That's the camaraderie we need. What they're doing, we don't need to know.
Yeah, you don't have this 20-year-old all of a sudden he's about to make $1 million something living by himself, partying up all night. He's literally living in a
Or
kind of like a
he's being
international exchange student or a billet or whatever they call the billet family, like in junior hockey in Canada, when the 14-year-old just goes and lives at some other stranger's house so they can go play hockey across the country.
Oh, I never thought about how much that's probably common in a lot of sports.
It's I mean, that's how it works
Yeah,
in Canada
makes
and the
sense.
juniors and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, so there's very lofty expectations for this team. Should be very fun. We're not going to get into a whole lot of X's and O's here. I did also want to mention, and this is also going to be related to the Dallas Mavericks. They did present us with the brand new video board in the American Airlines Center. It's pretty nuts looking. I still don't really fully understand what it looks like when it's up and running, and what angles you're seeing from what seats, because it's got this weird, like there's the main out, I'll call it an outer screen that comes, it's huge, and then underneath that, if you're sitting below it, you can see it's not like a flat bottom; it's an open bottom, and then there's an inside screen around that you can see. I guess from the lower bowl, that's also super high def and covers everything. So it's gonna look nuts. And one of my friends was at a preseason game. He sent me a bunch of videos. Looks cool. We are a little disappointed that the Stars and Mavs didn't go for the projection route, because that projecting on the ice that we've seen in Seattle,
really,
is maybe the coolest. It looks like you're watching a high definition TV if it's just if no one's out there, just amazing. On the ice.
You're right. It's a sin that all the hockey teams aren't mandated by the league to do something, because like the league is
I
fucking
can't
it up too.
Imagine how expensive it is. That's my. I know that the Stars have rented something similar, but it wasn't that high quality.
You're right.
I've seen them use projection, but it wasn't of quality. And I've also seen, this would be cool, I can't remember who was doing this, but there was somewhere where people would go to the arena. You can go to the arena and watch it on the jumbo board, but someone was doing on the ice. They just had like little circles basically indicating where all the players were, so you could just watch the motion on the ice. Kind of cool for, like if your team's playing away, but you're at your home arena.
Right.
So you could see on the ice like circles with the puck moving between them of what's actually happening in real time.
It's
cool
content.
Stuff that you can do that.
It's something new. You give your fans something new. It's good.
Yeah, I would. In some cases, I'd rather. And actually, in a lot of cases, I'd rather do that than try to sit at a bar and watch it or something. So, and for families, it's always an event. All that. Anyways, all that's to say, giant new video board looks pretty cool. They also put in. They listed the number of seats, which I wasn't sure if that meant some seats didn't get switched to the new seats, or if they just wanted me to know how many seats are in there. But there's a bunch of new seats in the arena, 19,000 something.
They're like, people in the 300s. LOL.
St. Marshall assured me that they are very nice seats.
St. Marshall said, "We paid for a new roof."
She
and that's no disrespect to St. Marshall.
They invested $20 million. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's her job, is to be the face. So
I'm laughing because the part of the story I care about, although this is nice, and I need to go to, I guess either one's coming up soon, so I need to go to one of the teams, and see it. This still doesn't really leave us with a resolution on the future of the AAC.
So. No, absolutely not. I haven't asked anyone about this, but I've been thinking about, is that thing movable, that screen?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I think you construct it and then deconstruct it anyway. So it's probably not awesome, but if they had to, they could
move it across the street to.
But I think that they would keep the
Cuban casino. What would Cuban call his casino? I don't know.
If they move it across the street to that lot,
I bilked everybody by selling internet on the radio arena.
I still love that.
Radio on the internet, whatever it is, TV on the internet. Something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, you're talking about the band, but he did technically do what that band's name was. TV on the radio. TV on the radio.
Yeah, thank you.
No, he did radio on the internet
based. Yeah, he did radio on the internet.
Yeah, he did radio on the internet.
We're real smart guys.
Basically, Mark Cuban himself has even said, this is why I love it, that he sold a junk company and fucking made
And to be fair, Yahoo just did nothing with it, and that's kind of on them.
Yeah. No, he was a .com boom issue, and they fucked it up, not him. He did. He had something.
They did something
wanted.
similar when they tried to launch their own video streaming platform, and it was just they didn't do a great job. Yahoo Screen, R.I.P. It's where the last season of Community aired.
Oh shit! Damn. You know, honestly, I wish Community didn't exist sometimes, but that's a different thing.
Oh man.
Only because it makes me sad. It's a great show, but it makes me sad too. It has too much. It has more sadness out of it. I just needed people to live in a world where fucking Fletch isn't kind of problematic. and unfortunately, one of my favorite movies of all time is, thankfully, Chevy doesn't look a fucking thing like himself back in the day. Really, because he's just a big fat ogre of a man now. Big old white fucking, his head looks like got Barry Bonds treatment.
I don't know. I guess I can just separate in my head these things.
That just makes me sad that how many people hate him now.
Compartmentalize. I can just compartmentalize all that.
Because I really feel like I feel like a young me looked up to Chevy Chase's comedy more than most people. And just to find out that he actually just wasn't really being a comedian, he was just actually an asshole the whole time.
High on cocaine.
That too. That too. But if you think about it, Chevy Chase is basically just being himself. But it just happens to be funny when we're not thinking he's an asshole, but he is an asshole.
Yeah, and unlike Belushi and Farley, it didn't kill him, so...
Yeah, no, that's true. At least he had vice management down.
Well...
to some extent.
Some of that's just luck, but he was also a significantly smaller man than both of them were.
Taller, though. He was just a slender guy. He must have actually
been
open.
I don't know.
Not just lying about it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he actually did work out a little bit. Keith Richards style.
On cocaine. Like Michael Irvin.
Oh, sounds terrible. Sounds absolutely terrible.
But yeah,
3 Super Bowls
became of it.
Probably gonna be it for hockey. I guess we can do, if you'd like, we could do some brief football talk. We'll do a little bit. We can touch a little college and a little NFL.
Yeah. I only have like 4 points that I thought were even interesting.
For college or for the NFL?
College, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead. Hit me with what you wanted. I was gonna.
We'll talk about foosball. I need you to give me a foosball drop.
Who is that?
Foosball is the devil. Bobby Boucher's mom. Anyway, that's the cut I need. I need foosball is the devil. Anyway,
my mama said.
My girlfriend obviously struggles to have a lot of American films, like true, even though she's an American, just truly American cultural
I bet he's the worst.
No, she's good to show Adam Sandler stuff too. She likes it.
Well, I just mean to like trying to understand what he's saying half the time.
Oh no, I haven't done Waterboy yet. Waterboy is gonna be fun because one time I really got her on.
Which even in every movie he just starts doing his like weird shtick. Like, who like.
But Waterboy, I feel like is a good one.
I'm just saying I wouldn't pick Adam Sandler movies if I was trying to teach someone English.
Oh no, not that. She's a complete yes.
I know. Yeah, I got that. I was just that's where I was going in my head.
She is very much an LA girl. She just was raised by 2 Indian people who didn't like her dad. Literally only listens to death metal and watches 90 actions movies. That's the only American stuff he takes in. Obviously, they have plenty of Indian stuff that they fuck with, but like. That is like the only American concept they fuck with.
Yeah, I was just imagining like if I try to show someone something from England, it's like I can only go to so far with the accents for like if you're not already watching a bunch, you're not gonna understand what any of these people on this side are saying.
No, it is a little bit of that too though, because like I've already showed her Friday. I just listen to this, and she's only a couple years younger than me too. She's not like much younger than me, and she's lived in LA her whole life. She just under a rock.
I think you're
Anchorman.
I think Friday didn't. I don't think Friday was as big for mine and your generation. We just happen to be people who remember it and know it. I don't think it was as big for us as it was for those people above us a little bit. But
that's fair. I mean, I was a kid when it came out. It was just always on TV, and I always watched it there. And then my dad.
I think we were kind of the edge of that, and for some reason, Friday didn't get reboard until Bye Felicia.
Yeah, yeah,
memes.
you're right. You're right. The meme comes out. A lot of memes come from that movie too. Actually, now That's actually what I'm showing her this. I show her Anchorman for the first time, and a whole world of memes like becomes available to her. She's like, "Oh, that's the reference. Oh, that's oh my god." So
Yeah.
it's just really funny.
Yes. If it's Will Ferrell and a mustache, it's that.
um,
Or he's saying the N word as Robert Goulet.
I used to have the best of Will Ferrell and SNL DVD.
That's probably the only place you can find that. No.
Yeah, that's fair. I never thought about that. No, the YouTube, or maybe not YouTube, but somebody's gonna
Vimeo.
have it somewhere. Vimeo, maybe.
Daily Motion.
No good way to get back into college football here.
Yep. Sorry.
But I'm good with that derailment. Actually, I appreciate
that
a
all
lot.
that all came off of foosball was the double.
Foosball, yeah. And I think it
Let's
should
talk
stay.
about Oregon and Colorado. Just knock it out.
Yeah, that one's the number one on my list anyway.
Like, it was one of the most watched games probably that we'll have all year until Colorado USC. Although even that might have taken a hit because of this.
I'll still be there, but
And
you're
look,
right.
I'm just like, yeah, the real casuals aren't gonna
reality came down.
tuning in for a team with a loss. But yeah, so I don't want to rain too much on the parade. I think I've been pretty vocal about kind of being annoyed by some of the theatrics of it, and mostly because I knew anyone knew this was coming, not because I don't believe in Dion, but because I don't believe Dion could do it in 1 year. I think give him at least 3, and then who knows? Let's see, because what he did in 1 year is astonishing.
Even
already.
2 is possible. I truly believe that now. But the thing is,
if you can get the transfers, but then the actual coaching comes in to try to pull it all together, and that's where I'm still iffy.
Exactly. And what did Dion? But hey, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Even if they're miracle workers,
and
right?
I'm sure he's also probably really good at hiring guys who know what they're talking about for football. I assume.
Yes,
So.
I think that seems to be one of his best traits, is that he's more of a CEO type coach.
Yeah,
and
which is what you need in college.
And so, the players seem to respond well to it. There's some levels of it that's whatever, however you feel about it. Like, they talked a lot of shit and they got their ass beat, and that's on record.
I understand you have to do that a little bit to build the brand and all that kind of thing. That's fine.
But the trenches is where it's hard,
it.
And that's where this game was lost. Is they had the skilled players are at Colorado. Colorado may have a decent chunk of skilled players that are headed to the NFL or that are big time college players. Like, I'd have no problem with that. I like Shedeur. Travis Hunter obviously is a talented guy. I still just feel like you don't have the trenches won in any way, shape, or form. And in football, we forget, but it is still the most important part.
It's absolutely, and that's I don't remember when I actually learned that. I think it was probably my freshman year of college watching Texas play, where I was like, "Oh, this is
when it went
how
south
you beat
to Texas,
everybody."
that was a big
You
part.
just, and it's not even that you're you don't always score all the points at the start. It's just the wear down of when the other team's line is just that much stronger and better than you. That by the end of the late third quarter, you're just done. You can't keep playing, and then they're going to step on the neck.
And no disrespect to TCU, but it was a big part of why there was a big gap for them to try to compete for the college football title, is because they even though they had built something really good, especially in the Big 12 where they were dominant, it still and sort of was a reflection on the league, which is why Texas and Oklahoma are not only moving, but also are changing the way they play to have more of these rotation defensive linemen and thicker linemen, because they know that the SEC requires that.
It is. It is pretty frustrating to see Texas. Oh God, how long has it been? 14 years later, remembering how offensive lines and defensive lines work, but we're here and we did it.
Yeah, it took a while to get some NFL prospects back in the door too, which is another thing.
I mean, I think they always had some, just less, and they weren't doing anything.
Well, there was a couple of years where they went over, and then there was guys like Malik.
Yeah,
but Malik Jefferson.
I don't think that means
Hayden Stern.
I don't think that means the guys. I don't think that means the guys there weren't good. It just means they weren't
developed
well.
Yeah, they weren't developed in the way that was conductive for sure.
And so Texas, well, since we're already here, they took care of business, which this was a huge potential trap game. Playing Baylor 2 weeks after the Alabama game, all that. It's, I mean, they're not good, but it's still just
Baylor might be back
and
to
I mean,
Baylor if we're being honest.
I would even consider it. I would even consider getting trapped if Texas had only won it like 17-10 or something stupid like that. But they didn't. They didn't mess around. Is kind of the point I'm getting to. They went in and they took care of business. What was it, 38-6, the final?
Something like
not a
that,
whole lot happening there at the end. Fun, and they look really good. They're still third in the country, and they'll stay third in the country unless was it Georgia and Michigan, I think, unless one of them loses.
Even when Texas is
which I
still
wouldn't-
kind of like overrated in my book and an affectionate overrated, it's you always get the boost. So when they're actually good, I'm not
This
surprised that
is-
they're getting the boost.
This is the first time in a while where I'm not like, do I think that they're right now absolutely the third best team? Probably not, because it's impossible to really know. But I'm not feeling the guilt of the Texas bump that I've felt in the last 14 years of like,
The
this
Ellinger
team
years.
absolutely does not belong in this conversation right now.
God love them,
And
but that
who
was a
knows?
lot of Sam Ellingers.
We don't know where it's gonna go, but it looks good. It looks like they've developed something real.
Something
and
that
I've
can
heard
compete.
that from a couple. I've heard that from a couple different analysts, and that's nice to hear. Outside of them just talking about how good your quarterback is, who's okay, which has been the case for a long time. Now he's actually good. That's
Maybe a
crazy.
succession of good quarterbacks coming down the pipeline. If we can only dream.
We'll see. As long as we don't Kevin someone it, I think we'll be all right.
Yep, that's a good one, but we don't have a swagger copter going around. I think that lesson got learned.
And then probably the other biggest story in college football this week, probably definitely bigger than Texas beating Baylor, was Notre Dame's loss. And that's a tough one, pal. Running 10 guys out on defense when the game's on the line.
Especially, don't forget that we had
help.
this issue, last year? This is Marcus Freeman's second year as the head coach, and his first year, he was already getting racial slurs and all that kind of shit from the fan base. So it's a tough one when it happens to anybody. When you've already had this situation with a fan base that seems to have this little hot button, good for the dude, because he's going to have to go trial by fire with this whole Notre Dame build. Like, much respect to that.
Then we got the Ryan Day yelling at an octogenarian on live TV at the end of the game, which like you can disagree with what Lou Holtz said, but it's like you're never gonna come out looking good when you're yelling at an 80-year-old man who a lot of us think might be suffering through some kind of sundowning dementia type thing.
Bro, like, I don't like to side with Lou Holtz either usually, but I was kind of like, yeah,
I'm not siding with Lou Holtz.
Well, I'm
just telling you you're not gonna win. You have to know when you're not gonna win.
I kind of also thought that Ohio State
You
sucked,
win,
but at the same time,
you win by shutting up and letting the game talk. But
I think you're right. I think that
he watched too much of Colorado tape heading into this week, and he got himself fired up.
The opinion was too. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, maybe he's just trying to compete with Dion on the recruiting trail now. You're right. That really could be it.
I'll give them passion. I'll yell at an 80-year-old man on live TV.
Well, whatever he says to me, that was just uncalled for.
It wasn't half bad.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard it in a while either. That was just based off of years of programming. And then just Mark May, or was it? That's not Mark. Was it Mark May? I think was the other guy, and just he's like this really stern, like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, that was the old college football final. It's much better now with they have like a younger white dude who hosts it, and then they've got
Kirk Street.
No, the college football final show that they used to do. That's what Lou Holtz did for the longest, was college football final, and now it's Joey Galloway and I watch it every week. Brady Quinn? I feel like there's a quarterback there. Anyway, it's a good show.
That would sound right. Yeah, I pretty much have always done a good job of avoiding pre and post game and halftime broadcasts, unless I will watch. Sometimes I'll watch the Stars live. I like that one, but
that's fair. No, I actually would recommend college football final.
Okay, so then you get like obviously Chuck and Shaq. I can watch them. They're cool.
They're more entertaining than informational.
Right,
I
exactly.
actually
That's,
really
and
do like
that's
college
what I would
football
rather.
final because
I would
it's
almost
the other
rather
way
have.
around.
I don't necessarily want. Like for me, that's like I need decompression time. I need to calm down. I need a cigarette and not to think about the stress I'm about to go through for the next half of this game.
That's fair. Well, yeah, halftime stuff it's always so
and
like especially ESPN because they just want more commercials.
And I think the reason I don't like post game as much is just like it's over. So I'm either really mad or I'm so happy that I'm like, I don't even need to hear about this right now. I'm too
I
emotional.
agree with
Basically,
like
I'm an emotional fan who wants to keep it all to myself.
I feel you. I like it because I have I have a formula tried and true. Cowboys win, all the media. Cowboys lose, none of the media. It's a great formula. I promise every fan should do it. Um,
It
well,
is
not our
interesting
podcast. Never skip our
living here.
podcast.
Yeah, it is interesting living here. So I just never get any Vikings anything unless I seek it out.
Oh, that's okay because no matter where the
I
fuck I
can't
was, I'd have to deal
I
with the
can't
Cowboy
stumble
shit.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
Um.
a half of a segment for sure.
So that's just my rule for it. But I do feel you. There is one last college football point I wanted to talk about briefly because we don't
Yep.
know shit else about it. The Battle of the Pac-2 was interesting, but it led to an interesting story that I thought was more interesting. So the Pac-2 is just Oregon State, Washington State. It was a fun football game,
Right.
good scoring game. Not the interesting story. The interesting story is because of this Pac-2 championship that just happened, we have an interesting question about the future of college football playoffs. And a proposition has been announced. I think you may have saw it in the ticker, maybe not. There will be a Power 5 automatic bid, and the next 7 teams would be into the playoffs as the 12th team.
You mean a
So
group of 5
basically,
automatic bid?
the Pac-12 dies. There now is a Power 5. I don't know who the Power 5 is exactly. That doesn't feel like math to me. It feels like losing the Pac-12 means there's not a Power 5, but whatever. SEC, Big 10,
Whatever the hell the Big 12 is.
Big 12, but is the Big 12's going to be kind of it's going to be a
I mean, they're
tough
getting
one for them,
Colorado.
right? ACC is the ACC and Big 12 are going to be very. Yeah, you're right. Colorado might be a big deal for them. You're right. All right, we'll see. Anyway,
I guess I missed this proposition.
Power 5. Yeah, so Power 5, whatever those 5 powers tiers are, the champions of those, and then the next 7 best teams.
Oh my god. I spelled it incorrect.
So that's just an interesting nugget if you don't know about it. Everyone should keep their eye on. I kind of like it. It's kind of interesting. I don't really know what you would do otherwise. I mean, do you need automatic bids for them? Probably not. But if you do it, is that better? Is it worse? I guess I'll have to hear more people's opinions on it. I just think it's a sexy idea. It's kind of interesting. And
Oh my gosh. I also
we're about to get weird. This is about to get kind of weird. You know, we have these fucking super divisions and shit.
former Pass the Rock mentioned Mel Tucker has officially been fired.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Clemson
R.I.P.
might be
Bozo.
leaving the ACC.
Oh, didn't know that. That feels bad for business in the ACC, but I don't know where would they go then. See, this is why college football alignment is.
SEC. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that would make sense, but how the fuck are what? Then is there any need for another conference? Then just have the 2, and then the Big 10 and the SEC just become their own thing?
Where'd you see this playoff thing? Why can't I find it?
It was on the ESPN ticker. I didn't make shit up. I hope not. America.
Oh, I
make
see it
shit
here.
up.
No, you're good.
The whole world.
The College Football Playoff Committee is leaning towards a 5+7 format for the expanded playoff.
Ooh, that's even sexier. Leaning.
ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and the highest ranked group of 5 team. So that's your 5th Power 5.
I see.
And then the next 7 highest ranked teams. Interesting. I'll have to spend more time considering that before I give you my full-throated opinion, but
Good.
I don't mind them opening it up, and I definitely don't mind them trying some stuff out to figure out what's best, because it's an impossible task, because they're working on a severely broken system and trying to fix all the pieces while everyone's just fighting over money. So
And yeah, it's just the Wild West too. It's just everyone's just
Yeah, the
doing
NCAA
whatever.
has such little power, control, no teeth, no hand. They've got no hand. They can't do anything, and so these conferences just get to do whatever the hell they want.
Bro, they're gonna have to take it as a win that they got an extra year out of Texas OU. I know there's a lot of people being affected, but Texas OU one screwing the Big 12 is easily the funniest. And I'm not saying that biasly. Texas and OU, like unbiasedly, Texas OU are dirty motherfuckers, and it's hilarious the way they've handled
I
their
don't think
business.
so.
Dude, they just got
they've
out of footing the
been
bill too.
dragging they've been dragging that conference since its creation, and they want out.
You're right. Well, it also maybe needs the conference also maybe needs to move on from this version of itself because it's not conducive for business as well.
No,
It did nothing without them, you know.
There were two big dicks, and no one else was going to do anything, and they weren't going to do anything for anybody else. So let's just move on. Let's cut ties.
Yeah, I agree, and this might honestly have been a solution for the Big 12 long term.
We need to be playing Alabama and Arkansas and A&M. We don't need to be playing TCU.
Higher standard. It's going to be a harder fall, though, I feel like. When Texas gets bad again, it might get bad again.
The last 14 years have been pretty rough. I'm not too concerned.
So I feel you. I feel that sentiment as well. So
Texas, and that's another thing, is people always think Texas is, they're technically a blue blood, but there's a lot of bad years in between some of that good stuff.
Yeah, not as many titles in his legacy. It's mostly just the brand and the money, the cash flow.
I love it. It's great. I'll cheer for him every year.
The location is good for the college kids.
And yeah, so I'll probably wrap up the college football portion, and then we'll see what we hit on here on the NFL rapid fire round. We'll
just do rapid fires.
This week's Pass the Rock is brought to you by Thoughts. You know when you hear those voices in your head? Thoughts.
C's usually takes a couple of storylines. You go
pull up your list here so I can make sure I'm with you.
We'll go through some of them quickly, but I'm going to try to make sure that you have any time to get off any of your opinions on some of these subject matters. Starting off, one of my things this week, I put this number one for a reason.
Before you start, I wish we could have people giving live bets on just how much I'm going to care about each one of these.
Ooh, you can just rate it. I'm down for rating it, and then we can just get the betting later. So, my first thing, fuck Travis Kelce for what you've done to me and to my television and to my timeline. At the same time, it's been about a week, so I've kind of gotten more used to it. There have been some funny parts. There have not been some funny parts. Seeing Howie Long do a skit about it on the pregame show killed my soul.
Told you I don't watch those shows.
And I might be done with the pregame show forever, though I already kind of was. But that really hurt my soul. But Taylor Swift has invaded. The Swiftiness has invaded the National Football League. And it has been a mix of both funny and awful. Where do you stand?
I just that's kind of my physical just
It's a lot,
it's
dude.
fine. Like I don't really care. Like obviously like I don't really care. I understand that from her side of things and her fan base that everything is this level all the time.
Apparently, I didn't even realize. I didn't respect it.
It is just 100. There's no 0. There's no 0-2. It's just 100 all the time. And that is exhausting to me. And I don't know why. I'm guessing. I mean, obviously, I can see some of the plus side for Travis Kelce. His jersey sales went up 400% in one day.
Oh, the NFL's loving this.
Yeah, he's getting more attention for his brother's podcast. They just
announced that she's going to be at the Jets game for the Sunday night game.
This is, if it's not the most obvious, actually, I would say it's the most obvious business deal, but I don't really understand
celebrity relationship.
Her side of it.
It seems to be her history, but I don't know. The net
positive for her. No, her history is like little scrawny pop stars and emo boy
not
singers.
Sports guys. I just mean like she does the Kim Kardashian style of celebrity hop in a way. Like she's Like not as bad. She does a different version of it, but like she
Yeah,
has a
for sure. I
notable
mean, and
list. You know what I'm
that's the
saying?
circles you run, and that's the circles you run in and stuff. But for me, it's like if it was like a set up corporate version, I think they would have picked someone different than him. But maybe not. Maybe they think he's the most marketable guy that they could run with for this.
No, honestly, it could be both. It could be a legitimate relationship that is also
Well, I
sort
think
of just
I think
naturally
that
all over the place.
I think that they're business relationships between people who are friendly and they like each other enough to be like, okay, we're gonna do it like this for a little while, and then we'll
No, and
both move on and make more money.
it's possible because it's not just that Travis is a good football player; it's that he also
No, I mean
seems
he
to
had
be
to be.
really
He
good at
has to be
media stuff,
He has to be marketable. He has to be
hmm
funny.
and he is.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
so that's
he
just
checks a
whatever.
lot of the boxes.
I don't have too much to say on it. We'll see what happens there.
But either way,
Obviously, there are a lot of good jokes. I think the best joke I heard was by a man named Blake Jones, who he used to work at the ticket. He said, "Ooh, home run out of Luis Garcia." That's not what he
mhm.
said. He said that he just can't wait for Taylor Swift to write a song about how bad at pass blocking Travis Kelce is, and I can't wait for that song either. That's awesome.
Oh no, my favorite was somebody said that wait till they figure out Gronk is their arch enemy, and then they're gonna say the best availability or best ability is availability.
Yeah, and Gronk can point at all his rings. Although they're probably close in
Well,
rings
yeah,
now
I don't
too.
know how long though. Like, I honestly, when I saw that tweet, my bigger takeaway was, damn, you're right. It is kind of Gronk versus Kelsey all time. No offense, Tony Gonzalez. Damn.
I mean,
Um, it's just hard, dude. Gronk at his peak. Like,
I
I'm sorry, I'm taking
well, I
Gronk.
mean, I probably will over anybody else except for the one guy who you're not allowed to say because him at his peak was also going to be incredible. Gronk's former teammate.
Eh,
Um,
I think
dude,
that he was
those two
good. I
together
don't think he
in
was.
Madden, he didn't have
You're
the
right.
chance yet. He was
Well,
young.
but he didn't. Yeah, he wasn't the
Playing
same though.
behind
Gronk.
Gronk. No, that
I,
was what was perfect. Is they were different, and there you could just you could run them in trips.
You're right. As
Oh,
a duo, they were lethal as shit.
oh
um, but
yeah,
Robert Gronkowski is one
that's
of the
got to
greatest
be.
athletes I've ever seen play any sport. So I got to
He's
chalk
fun,
that up.
man. A lot of fun. All right, what's
Um,
next?
next, in the NBA world, one time a team had such a bad clusterfuck of situations that the NBA had to actually take over ownership. It famously forced uh, a Chris Paul trade to be redacted from the Lakers, all the good stuff.
Basketball
So my
reasons.
question to you, my basketball reasons, my question to you is: will the NFL step in and take over the Bears from the
They
Hallises?
won't. They absolutely won't. Um, should they? Maybe. But they clearly the other owners aren't going to go for that. So,
Yeah, obviously this isn't anywhere near the same
uh,
league and not the same situation. The
no,
former
no,
New Orleans
they're
owner was not
also
as important to the history of
Soldier
the NBA as the Hallises either.
Soldier Field isn't just empty every week. Um,
Exactly. Yes, big
and
part of it.
that is a funny premise, and yeah, the Bears are absolutely just a joke right now, and
Well,
it's
they got
covering
shit
up
getting
for
stolen out of their like equipment's being stolen. It's not just on the football field, bro. What's happening?
and then there's the
Indictments, maybe?
mystery, the mystery in the back of the room of whatever happened to Alan Williams or his family or who knows,
And the
because
ghost of Sam
they
Hurd always lingering.
oh god, yeah, that's the Bears, man. They're covering up my
I
woes,
agree.
so I'll take it.
I agree. It's sad as someone who had a lot of stock in the Bears in the start of the season based off of literally just wanting to root for a guy. That decision has turned out poorly for me. Um, it happens. Um,
Oh, you know, I did
speaking
hear something
of,
interesting
okay,
actually on the Bears. So Mike Tice, former Vikings head coach, also used to be the Bears OC back when they had
right.
Cutler. Um, and apparently his son was on that Pablo tour. He finds out, uh,
Hmm.
and his son was saying that Mike Tice was locked and loaded to draft Russell Wilson in the 4th round before the Seahawks snagged him in the 3rd. And just who knows? Who knows, Russell in Chicago? What happens there? Does he just end up looking like Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, but
You never
Wilson's one of
know.
those guys that fell so far that everybody could make up that story for sure. But it would have been funny.
What I know about the Tice is I believe it. That's not. I don't know. Tice wasn't a very effective head coach, but I would trust. I see him. Yeah, I don't have any reason to think he would be making stuff up like that. I think the thinking was he's like in the 4th round. This is the steal.
Yeah.
But I would never take him above that. Probably is what
Which is
he's
really
thinking.
still kind of crazy. Like I shit on Russell a lot, but like even
You
back
never
then,
know,
I feel like
and-
a 3rd rounder was fair.
Yeah, absolutely. There was no reason to actually think he was going to be as good as he was for the couple years he was.
No. But you at least
You
like
just don't
saw
know,
enough
though.
where you're like, hey, this guy deserves a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right though. The Bears, that's unfortunate history for the Bears.
Just read your next line.
Look, I just want it to be stated for the record. Did you see something bad?
Oh, Adelise Garcia just can't play outfield. It's fine.
That's not awesome. But
It's
we'll
okay, he
figure
probably
that out
won't be
as we
out there
go.
well, actually, he will be out there next year. Never mind. Go ahead.
I need to make a public announcement that I have video proof that Dak Prescott was present at the January 6th insurrection. And I am electing not to publish this material just yet. I am going to stand off, but I just want that to be publicly known. Dak, the media isn't out to get you. I am. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So coming back down, yes, in my heart, do I feel today that Dak Prescott is a terrorist? Yes. In reality, did he cause all of the problems Sunday? No. So I just want that to be stated. That's mostly my opinion. He just didn't have to do the turd fucking sandwich at the end of the game. That was what really pissed me off. I was just like, "Fuck you, man." That was a fuck you.
That and then yeah, we could get very into the details of missed opportunities and
Well, yes, the game was full
and all
of
that.
fuck ups, but it feels unfair to just put it on him because there was so many fuck ups that everyone deserved.
No, I mean obviously
share.
You lose your center 2 days before the game. Never gonna go well, pretty much.
Yeah,
in the history of the NFL.
They kind of knew before, but it was really the other stuff too. The defensive effort was bad.
That's a huge. I mean,
the whole the offsides calls were just
carry
gross.
This whole team.
The fuck was the offsides calls were wild too, because there were some that they got called on that they weren't even offsides. There were some that they weren't called that they were offsides. It was a complete madhouse. Like, what the fuck is going on? I can't even be mad.
I'm trying to remember if this was from Micah's podcast or just a post game interview where someone said they're like, well, you're always going against the other team and the refs when you're away. And it's like, I don't know if you looked at those stands, but probably about 60-70% Cowboys fans there. You weren't at an away game.
Yeah, dude, and honestly, Micah, I'm good luck.
I don't know if that was.
Podcast,
I can't remember. I don't know if that was him. I just know it was a Cowboy, and I know I heard audio today that some was his, some was other players. I don't remember who said that.
The first I've heard of Micah getting himself and looking stupid from his podcast, at least that I can remember, it just happened because he said he was going to light up Josh Dobbs. No, he said he was going to light up Josh Dobbs regularly, and then Josh Dobbs put him on TikTok making fun of him with that clip.
He did this week say like, look, we clearly didn't take them as seriously as we were supposed to. That's on us, which you don't want to hear, that your professional athletes aren't taking them seriously, but it is nice for them to at least be like, sorry, sorry guys, like
true,
and not just making human excuses. About
regular voice of reason, David Hellman tweeted out that that was sort of this is sort of a common thing in the McCarthy era, is that this team just sort of has like one game per season where you're just like, what the fuck was this? So it's not necessarily a cause for concern, but you are sort of like, what the fuck is this?
I think stats wise, your cause for concern, if you're looking at just straight box scores or stats of games so far this year, is obviously you need Dak to develop some kind of relationship with anybody in the red zone, since he lost the two guys that he had with Schultz and Elliott. who I think have the most red zone touchdowns over the last 2 or 3
It's
years for the
okay.
Cowboys, something like that.
Schultz had a terrible day for the Texans, unfortunately. But yes,
And yeah, I mean,
Zeke does
obviously
feel a little missed.
it's young, and they'll figure it. I'm sure they'll figure it out to some degree. I don't think they're going to be like 1 of 8 or whatever they've been recently in the red zone all year.
Well,
And also, man, and one thing that I've been thinking about a lot today is you got to get more yards in the air from your passes. There's a lot of screens, dinks and dunks. So
look, it's been 8 years, dude.
it's easier.
I've been saying the
I
same
would also
thing.
say, I would also say it's
I
easier
love the
for me to
guy, but it's the
analyze-
reality.
It's easier for me to analyze the Cowboys because of how good the team is. Not saying like they're one of the, not saying top team. I mean they're good enough for me to look at it and say, okay, this can be fixed, this can be fixed. Whereas I'm watching the Bears and the Vikings, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
You don't know
This
where
is
to
all
start.
bad.
No, but that
This is all
to me,
bad.
to me, that gets on a great point though. Is like what is still stopping this team from grabbing what was their stupid ass thing? Carpe, whatever.
Carpe
Like,
everything. I can't remember what the
yeah.
actual word is.
So like what is actually stopping it? And that's what's the frustrating part, because I think a lot of it is stuff that isn't necessarily just personnel. Like, yeah, the lineman stuff was frustrating. It didn't help, but that game certainly felt manageable. The fact that the defense looked so sluggish and just looked like they didn't know how to stop a run. The linebacking core is just embarrassing when it comes to trying to stop the run. So it's just one of those things where I get it. This is a talented group. I'm really excited about it. Bad losses happen. At the same time, it's like what I'm talking about with the Rangers, right? It's like I see these positives. I see change. But what do I also see? A potential for this team to go whatever. Fuck it. 13-3. Have a great year. Whatever. Never win. This is the only loss they'll have. Say it. Whatever. Go as crazy as you want to go. And then still I end up in the same position in January. You know what I mean? That's what pisses me off about these little things. Is it's hard for me not to obsess because it feels like the things that they actually need to do are still not done.
It's almost like you're punishing yourself as a fan because you don't ever have enough bad years to appreciate the consistent mediocre to good years that you're having. Like,
the bad years are kind of fun too. They're a little wily.
Well, and because your bad years, at least since like Parcells took over, your bad years have just been when a quarterback goes down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you haven't had a 3-14 with your starting quarterback that you just had to fucking deal with.
Yeah, not
so it's
not
yeah,
since,
no, just
yeah, not since a
just
while.
some perspective. I don't expect there to be a lot of emotional rationality, and it's carpe omnis.
Omnis. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm fine with that, but I guess for me is and you're talking about it is that was the stage of the Cowboys they were in. It took them a while to unbury themselves to get to where we're at now, but there is still this like stunted growth, it feels like. And is it fair to put it on the quarterback? Is it fair to keep talking about Jerry? I don't know, because it all feels fair at this point because nothing's really changed, especially in this version where I love him to death, but Dakota just like how do you have this crazy run in that game where they desperately needed it to stay in the game? I think he broke out of it. It wasn't a design play. He broke out of a sack, or the protection failed. He bumblefucks his way up the field, gets a first down, big time play for Dak. And then in that next red zone, I think the drive that he throws the pick, he just gives the ball to Pollard to run into a bunch of dudes when he has just like one guy to beat. You know what I mean? I'm like, who is this Dak? Like, who are you, bro? And it's frustrating because especially I see guys like Hurts, and I know Hurts is just the fresh kid on the block, but I see Hurts get knocked the fuck out and still deliver balls. You know what I mean? I see him do the grimy shit, and I'm just like, Dak, you don't do the grimy shit. Quit acting like you do. You know, that's where it's just.
And he's also getting. I mean, he's pushing 30 now, right? So like at some point you do have to start making smarter business decisions with your body to be able to play longer. But anyways, what I would say there is the one constant over the long enough period of time, and it's maybe not fair to blame that one constant, but at some point, obviously the culture needs changing, and there's only one constant in the culture, and you can't.
Especially when you realize that the football culture or the talent culture has changed. Like the Will McClay part, Stephen Jones, they've done their job.
Yeah, and development seems better. Yeah.
The issue is now still taking it to that next level. And maybe it is tough. Maybe it is harder to be a player for the Cowboys. Maybe Dak's right to some extent. At the end of the day, it's not changing. So get over it. Like, it just is what it is. But I'm not giving up on anything.
Cowboys quarterback position is interesting because he came in as like he's just going to be playing for a bit, and then Tony's going to come back. So it wasn't you're the Cowboys quarterback now. You have to do this. Yeah, he just won his way into everyone thinking, all right, this guy is it.
That's true, and I think that's part of it where we all got a little ahead of ourselves on Dak because I felt like I had a different version. I was really high on Dak as a prospect when we drafted him. I was so excited.
I think he still has the record for most consecutive passes to start a career without an interception, I believe.
Yeah, that whole first year was
which you wouldn't know by watching last year, but I'd say there's Cowboys, I think, unless you have more.
I'm done. I don't want to keep going because it's a lot of it's like we'll see. I mean, could this go both ways? Absolutely. It is one game, but there is enough there to where it's enough to be pissy with. And like I said, I'm only mad at Dak because he specifically put the shit turd cherry on top of the sundae.
And he's the lightning rod, and you're going to be his quarterback.
True. You're right.
Unless you throw for 5 touchdowns and then the defense blows it, then you're okay.
This is why Dakota Prescott gets paid all the money and all the advertising revenue so that I can be mean to him.
All the yogurt money.
Yeah. And Lowe's. He's on a Lowe's commercial now too. Okay.
Yeah.
So my next point, to move on to your team, would Kirk Cousins get his jersey retired if he landed you guys Caleb Williams?
In every bar in Minneapolis, yes.
All right, that's pretty much it. But you can take this Viking stuff anywhere else you want to go with.
I'll say pretty much what I've said since we started covering what this team was going to look like was we'll see because we have no idea. It's year 2 of head coach, year 1 of a new defense coordinator who's having to strip everything down and start over. Unfortunately, they don't even seem to necessarily be the problem, but interceptions, fumbles,
incredible amount of
third
fumbles.
Down conversions. We should mention
incredible amount of fumbles.
I don't remember if Caesar harped on this as much as I would have. What the Chargers did and why Kirk Cousins saved Brandon Staley's job, at least for one more week. I don't know how familiar you are with the situation, but with
I'm aware Kellen Moore might be a head coach soon.
With 1:49 to go, the Chargers are up by 4. The Vikings have 0 timeouts, and the Chargers are facing a 4th down on their own 24, 27, somewhere in their yard line. And they opt. Well, first off, they line up, and I'm like, they're not snapping this ball. They're just trying to get the Vikings to jump, get the free first down, game over. They snap the ball. They don't convert the 4th down, so all of a sudden the Vikings have 1:49 to get in the end zone.
No, I didn't know that's how that set up. That I saw the final. That I got cut to that game to see the Kirk Cousins finale.
No, the Chargers made the absolute worst coaching decision you could have made there. And then 2 plays later, Kirk Cousins throws it into the hands of a Chargers defender. I think it bounced between 3 of them before one of them finally ended up with it.
Yeah, I think it was a deflection interception.
It was, and that's, yeah. It was rough. This is Kirk's last year. They're not going to get the first pick. And it's just, it's a weird spot to be in. But who knows? I think, because I do think that if the Bears had the first pick, Caleb Williams would just say no. I don't think he's doing that.
Trade with you traded for Hawkinson within the division.
You trade him back.
So you trade in the division with the Bears, right? They're stupid. They need it. Trade them Kirk Cousins.
The obvious, the internet fan, unrealistic guys just saying trade Kirk to the Jets and move on. But I mean, it's possible. They're 0-3. 0-3. I just want I want them to win every game I watch, but I wouldn't be upset if they went 0-18 either, or 0-17 either.
Yeah,
if all of a sudden if they go on a 97 Spurs run or whatever, where all of a sudden they're just crappy for a year, go ahead and grab one of the greatest players of all time and then just re-rack it, I'll take that.
That's exactly what my point is too. Kind of where I give so much shit to my quarterback is because it sucks. It's like, think about what really changes these franchises now. Like Kansas City was just stuck in, they were doing a good job. They were building something solid again, with Andy Reid especially already. Like that probably still goes in a good direction. But you get Mahomes and it's just like, Buffalo. You get Allen and it's just like this is different.
It makes it We'll see.
To some extent with him. If he just stops being Brett Favre and starts being more of what he should be, he'd be all right.
Let's go back to our earlier point. What those teams also did was before they had the quarterback, they got a line. And the Vikings don't have a line. The Cowboys have a really top-heavy line. And you just got to hope that everyone's healthy and that when they are.
Yeah, and I really still don't even think the backups did that
team.
bad of a job. I thought it was everyone else execution-wise that I didn't love. I mean, they didn't work perfect, but I thought there wasn't a lot of great scheming for them.
I definitely have not watched enough of the film to go back.
It's better than the time that we put out that Chaz Green dude who was literally the worst offensive lineman of all time. Yeah, it's way better than those years.
Like when they put in the emergency backup goalie at NHL games, the guy who's just sitting in the stands all day just in case they need an extra goalie.
Yes, fucking exactly.
But I don't want to spend any more time on the Vikings. They suck.
For now. It's the NFL. It's 17 weeks now. Think about it.
0-3,
0-2. 0-2 Giants win the Super Bowl. Who's to say with an extra week 0-3 team can't flip it?
Let's see it.
My next point,
the division's still up for grabs, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, we might. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to debate that.
Colts. We got 2 against them, so.
I'm just saying. So the Colts pulled an Orlovsky and won a game. Does that make Gardner Minshew the new?
It's not
Jimmy G.
It's not near as bad as the Orlovsky. It's the same call.
Jimmy G did it too, and I'm pretty sure he did it in a win.
I don't remember seeing that, but
Jimmy G's the only other person I know who's done it.
I would just say, that this one isn't near as bad. The Orlovsky one, man, he literally gives up.
And it was the 0-16 team.
Minshew accidentally stepped on it, just trying to go back to throw the ball. Orlovsky chose to go out of bounds because he saw Jared Allen and was like, "Oh no, we're good."
You should look up the Garoppolo one too. That one was pretty not as dumb. It was probably a middle ground actually. It's probably perfect middle ground.
It always reminds me though of the 2011 Giants team that won their second Super Bowl. Their playoffs started with Eli throwing an intentional grounding out of his own end zone. They were down 2-0 to the Falcons.
That's fair, dude. Honestly,
and then they went on and won the Super Bowl.
This is why I really just don't think the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl sometimes, because I just don't think they can get this kind of stupid luck anymore at the right time. I feel like they're always the bad luck team in the right time.
Eli Manning opened up Jerry World with a win and then signed the wall.
No, Eli's the most lucky career of all time, and that's why I don't mind that he's a Hall of Famer. Because, he's a Hall of Fame luck.
There's some arguments to be made about Terry Bradshaw, considering the guy that they just put him over for no reason that Caesar brought us. That I forgot his name already several months ago.
Kenny Stabler.
No.
Kenny Stabler's probably the same. I know that there's a lot of people who say that Kenny Stabler, Joe Namath has bad stats.
Oh, if you're talking about that, yeah. I just mean there was a black quarterback.
No, I know what you're talking about.
They just picked Bradshaw over, yeah. Interestingly enough, Kenny Stabler's son-in-law is the guy who you used to hear say, "You could use some baseball." The Rangers voiceover guy, Dave Lane, who's about to have a kid, and they were already making jokes about if Nick Saban's been calling him to get to get him signed as a fetus. All right, digress.
Is Saban even?
I don't remember what was next. Will Saban still be there in 18 years? I don't think so, but we'll see.
He'll still be there in a couple
Palpatine,
years.
So,
Deshaun Watson and Geno Smith are both weekly candidates to put up the dumbest play you've ever seen in pro football. yet it doesn't affect their team just yet. Feels like something to keep in
Garoppolo's,
the back
by
of
the
the
way, real
mind.
quick, the Garoppolo safety pick six, hilarious. Not an Orlovsky, but still pretty bad.
Yeah. And honestly, Minshew could have the same Jimmy G career. I feel like he can do it. He can get another starting job if the Colts thing keeps going well with Richardson.
So I haven't
in and out.
seen whatever the Geno Smith play you're talking about is, but I have seen the Deshaun Watson one.
Geno Smith scored a touchdown on the dumbest play I've ever seen in my life, and he should have thrown an interception to lose them the game. And he threw one of the funniest touchdown passes I've ever seen in my life. I don't know. Who are they? Lockett, maybe? I feel like maybe it was Tyler Lockett. Yeah, so basically it's a clusterfuck. He's on the complete opposite side of the field. He just hoists that bitch, and they're in the red zone. He just hoists that bitch to the far corner, and Lockett gets it. I think Lockett. I'm pretty sure it was Lockett. Yeah, Geno Smith, you're a jackass for that. Deshaun Watson, you're just a jackass in general. But both of your teams,
Dude, he pulled a full Aaron Brooks, dude.
bro.
You don't ever want to pull an Aaron Brooks.
Bro,
this must not be it. Was it in overtime?
I don't think it was over. I think it was close to the end of the game. I think it might have been what tied the game, maybe. I don't know, but it's one of the touchdown passes he threw. It's fucking just. Unless it was a play that got called back that I didn't see, but the video's out there somewhere, and it's just a fucking clip in the red zone of Geno Smith running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and then just yoinking a ball clear across the field and into coverage, and just getting very lucky that his man got it and no one else.
I'll have to look this one up later. I can't find it yet.
That's fair. The next topic's a little funnier. The Dolphins elected not to go for 73 out of respect, which is just a statement I wanted to say as much as anything. Broncos country, let's ride. So, yeah, go for it.
You go for 73. There's no question.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy that we're having this conversation. And then did you see the coaches people?
I didn't want to
the
humiliate
sources?
them.
We also see the sources come out and like, some of the anonymous coaching circles didn't like what had happened.
That they didn't kick it, or that they scored 70 on them?
That they scored 70.
Fuck them. You're professional
dude,
athletes.
Bro.
In 2023, you gave up more points than anyone's given up since before the war.
For real. When they were using a real pig's bladder still.
And your idiot of a coach decided to start this year by talking about how bad the previous coach was.
Yeah, Broncos
and poor
country,
Kevin James has to
ride.
get dragged into this. Bringing it back to Adam Sandler, now Kevin James has to get roped into this, and he's doing nothing wrong. He's just being funny.
We've had a lot of good Kevin James memes, though. Although he did also promote some stuff that was problematic. No, I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
No, he promoted a movie that's not problematic. It's just it was a movie that was definitely very political. The Sound of Freedom or something that just came out recently.
I heard a lot of talk about that, but everything that I saw was like, this is one of those things where everyone wants me to talk about this, so I'm not going to learn a thing about it.
Yes, and it's completely pointless.
Like my culture war. I don't like my culture war that much.
It's definitely one of those you can just miss. Straight up. It's an interesting story to some extent, but it's pretty much the same old. Yeah, Dolphins, that's crazy. Mike McDaniels, shout out to the funniest offense in the world. I truly love it.
I know that a bunch of people were immediately on Madden Online playing as the Dolphins just to see what that looks like.
Did you see the formation? Did you see the formation where they hide Tyreek behind the tackle?
Was that the shovel pass? No.
I don't remember if that was it or not.
No,
but they were honestly, they were hiding.
I'm trying to remember what I was doing Sunday because I wasn't watching football all day.
It was fun. I saw this on Twitter.
I just remember looking at my phone and just seeing the final score of that game, and I was like, I haven't watched highlights outside. I think I saw the shovel pass. Like I don't even know what to do. My brain doesn't know what to do with that. I've seen college teams come close to that, but that should never happen in the NFL. It just shouldn't happen.
It's fair.
They should be relegated immediately. Put
Well,
on whatever probation. Take them and the Bears. Just end their season. Everyone gets a free win for that game anyways. It's all good.
well, good luck. Good news for you, buddy. Do I have a treat for you coming up? We'll get to that. Yeah, no, I feel you. Dolphins, good on you. Tyreek Hill, MVP, keep rolling. Go for 73. Hopefully you get another chance. The next bullet point. Am I a Lions fan now? The answer is no, but it's still really fun to see them win, and I'm really excited because I feel a kindred spirit to the Lions, where it's like anytime the Lions and the Cowboys lose, everyone sort of gets a little excited.
You
or they're
know,
like
every
typical.
single Lion fan would hate that you would ever try to compare your experience to theirs.
That's fair, but they need to also be real and understand that the Cowboys, if you take away from a certain period of time, have been very close to the Lions, unfortunately. It's not been as bad, but it's not been as good either. And I'm in the
Have you ever had
publicity
a-
is what I'm talking about.
Have you ever
here.
had a generational talent retire 8 years into his career because he just can't do it anymore? And then have you ever had it happen twice?
Look, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Fuck this.
I respect it. I'm not saying the Lions it's not a worse fate. I'm saying that I feel a kindred spirit with them.
It's one of, if not the worst.
I feel like because they are still historical, they still get their Thursday slot that everyone tries to steal from them from Thanksgiving. All the disrespect, the Lions
They were the
jokes.
first team to do it.
They're exactly, and they're the team who's the butt of the jokes. It's not like it's always usually the Browns, the Jags. We don't give as much shit to. You know, all these other teams. The Cardinals maybe deserve it.
They're
although
irrelevant.
I won't do it now.
The Lions aren't irrelevant as a franchise. That's true. As a team, they are, but as a franchise, no.
So that's where it hurts. That's where I respect it. I'm like, it's nice to see the team that everyone expects to get, to do something stupid, do it the right way and get to enjoy something. That's the perspective I'm trying to share. Otherwise, you're right. It's a much nicer life dealing with competent teams and an owner that spends money and shit, even if he's an asshole.
I'm going to present you with a biased opinion on them every single time, so I can't.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Division
separate.
rival. Trust me, my final bullet point was always going to be that bullet point, and it was never going to change. And that's just how I live.
I hear you.
Moving on from
And
one
for the most
division
part, I
rival.
agree.
Moving on from to the next division rival. I'm afraid to let you know that Jordan Love might be real hip hop.
I'm gonna cool the Jets, but it's not looking good.
That was a nice Lambeau debut. That was arguably as nice because it wasn't nice, and then he made it nice.
And also, don't forget that there was at least 1 week where I was like, Matt Flynn's gonna just all of a sudden do this to me again, and then they got rid of him, and he didn't do anything. So I'm just kind of hoping
That's
for
funny.
a Matt Flynn-ish situation.
You were worried
here.
about the Matt Flynn era, huh? I remember that being a debate. Yeah, I remember that.
He broke the record.
I get it,
broke
but
a Favre
like,
and Rodgers record.
I feel you,
Like-
and that's always going to be funny on the Green Bay stat sheet. But yes, that was just his expert offensive mind head coach at the time.
That's the panic and fear that 2 Hall of Fame motherfuckers will put in you.
But yes, Matt Flynn, great callback.
J Love.
Yeah, Jordan Love, big fan of him. The Packers were down a lot of people. He stayed in there, rallied them. Very emotional game. Granted, there's a lot of Saints that the Saints lost this game as much as the Packers won it.
Yeah. Well, it's a win in the NFL, man. And
Right.
you can't.
And it was a badass way to
just
introduce yourself
discount
to
that.
Lambeau, right? That's tough shoes to follow, and that's a great way to go.
Probably would have been more badass start the game the way he played the fourth quarter. But
That's fine. You also have to remember
The
no
ending-
running back, right? No missing Bakhtiari, right? I think, and then the defense they also had most of their guys missing, like Jair Alexander and shit. So,
Jair Alexander.
yeah,
Tough
that
one.
one kind of smashed that one together the first time. But anyway, I don't know if he's actually real hip hop. I had to give respect, even though I don't
I don't
particularly love
I don't
that
like what I'm
franchise either.
seeing. I'll say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. This is about the same.
Just the odds. The odds are he won't. Even if he's like Dak, he probably won't get back further. He
You
probably won't
better
become Rodgers.
You better hope he's more Dak than anything else, because that boy could be special.
I'd rather him be worse, but
That's fair. I don't know. Giving your best opponent mediocrity is kind of the best gift you can give too.
I mean, there's all kinds of debates about what you can do with that position if the rest of the team is right, but yeah,
it's true. It's fair.
But yeah, but like we said with Mahomes, the Chiefs did a great job building the line, but getting Mahomes made all that so much easier.
True. All right, moving on to the second Texas team. I am already recanting. Yes, I am already recanting my positive vibes for the Houston Texans franchise. I want nothing but misery for you because my team lost and your quarterback looks better than mine already in a very short amount of time, and that's very frustrating for a number of reasons.
Still early.
Still very early, but it's just very frustrating to see someone just come in and do some stuff, and you're just like, 8 years, man. 8 years. At the same time.
And again, it's an interesting because he also will have the opportunity to regress like Dak did, because Dak started off very promising. It just didn't progress.
Right. I'm not talking stats here. I'm talking throws. I'm talking there's just some stuff popped and like
chances taken.
But either way. Staying on Dak one more time. Why do I trust Brock Purdy's dumbass more than Dak Prescott? Help me understand this. Because you should. All right, so it's not just because
so
of
far,
paranoia.
So far, there's absolutely no reason to really doubt him. He can't play hurt very well, but who can? I mean,
but he's not even that good, dude. He had an awful offensive drive, and they still scored. Dude, no, it's crazy, bro. He actually looks awful, and then they win, and they do good.
And it's better than watching what Tebow was doing.
It's even more incredible. Yeah, the Tebow thing was such a flash in the pan and very annoying.
And the defense obviously was that team.
Brock Purdy might be the second coming of Eli Manning in like a dumber version.
And again, the defense that they have, what's he got to do? He can Trent Dilfer his way. He could Joe Flacco his way to it. He could Eli Manning his way to it. And I think he's as good, if not better, than those guys were. So,
well, I go Eli before. Eli's still a really talented guy. I give Eli a lot of shit. He's still a hell of a talent. That dude could sling the pill.
Man,
he just was kind of a fuckboy,
and not consistently a peak quarterback in any way.
Yeah, he just had a lot
of what do you call them, ducks when the ball is like.
A lot of Favre decisions, or like, I don't know if you even call them Favre decisions, because they felt more like brain fart. Yeah, it felt more like brain farts than just fuck it, I'm gonna throw it.
He wasn't. Yeah, he was okay.
But I still think he had a lot of talent. Like he deserved to be #1 pick and stuff like that.
He's a Manning.
He is Manning. Anyway, that's my
really holding on to that legacy of one more generation. Let's go.
And speaking of potentially mediocre quarterbacks that probably won't be around too long, Sam Howell has been looking very interesting for the Washington Commies. Not successful all around, although they're 2-1, right? Yeah, not too bad. He is a fun shit show to watch. I just think that you should give him time of day when you can. He is like this is a guy who loves full contact hits. Big fan of that. Not going to keep a long career doing that, but seeing the quarterback challenge a secondary guy to a one-on-one in the open field, I got to respect that every time. He's got fuckboy throws coming out the wazoo, and he's got a cannon. It's kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Sam Howell is on the watchability scale. I hope Sam Howell has a long career, at least as a backup, so that he keeps coming back into my life randomly.
I kind of feel like that's the projection here. But
you
have to take. You don't know till you try, and they try, and they at least got someone who they could hopefully use to raise the next guy.
And he's a good prospect, so it's not like he can't turn a corner. It just seems like this guy plays football on fucking reckless mode at all times, and I respect it, but like we already know that story.
And then and I'm also judging him based on playing with the franchise that he's playing with, so that's never going to go in his favor.
Exactly. From a happy Mike McDaniels to a sad Josh McDaniels. Wait, did I get that right?
Mike McDaniel.
No, it's what's Mike McDaniel and Mike.
No
yeah,
S.
and then yes,
and
okay.
Josh McDaniels with an S.
But at least there's two, and I wasn't wrong about the fact that they're basically the same except for not. Joshy Boy said he didn't know the score of the game and kicked the field goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough. So I don't even know if you need to go any further on that. It's tough.
And it's, obviously you're like, okay, he should know, but then obviously everyone else should also know.
Yeah.
There's
a lot that
saying anything. I don't know.
Talking about the Bears, we should be looking at the Raiders. Only other Raider point I want to make. They as it's basically been the huge since they moved to Vegas, got completely pummeled by Steeler fans, leading to someone to release a report to a journalist or a journalist to write a story, whatever, that there's growing animosity / concern, basically calling the Raiders, actually literally calling the Raiders stadium a brothel, that opposing fans come in, they have fun, spend their money, and leave.
Oh, that's not literally a brothel at all.
No, but you know what I mean. It was a funny way to do it.
What are they doing at their games?
It was a funny way to do it. No, it's not Washington Commanders stuff.
I'm sorry. I got it now. Okay. I was so enthralled with the idea that someone's like, guys, this has been going on since this opened and no one said anything yet.
Oh, that's basically what happened with the Reds. That's basically why Dan Snyder's gone.
I've been trying to work on saying the name I came up with for them, which is the Washington Football Commander Skins team. And it's tough. I'm trying to practice it. Football Commander Skins team. Football Commander Skins team. But yeah.
I just hope they rebrand again to the Pigs and just embrace the fact that they're pigs.
Hogs would be good. They have a lot of good options, and I hope that they actually choose one.
Biggies. No, they're got to be commies forever. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I can relate to fans selling out your home arena. It's not nice, but I'm glad it doesn't happen every week, and that seems to be the situation in Vegas.
Yeah.
Joey Burrows did not die and helped the Bengals win and gets me one step closer to a potential Aaron Donald trade.
They wore those cool white tiger uniforms.
They did. And the only final note of this week, fuck the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. But in honor... Oh, yeah. Keep it going. Oh, no, keep going. Thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind. All right.
Yeah.
In his honor, we'll do a quick version of Watch It, Skip It thing because we basically would agree, I think. C's on the Watch It. If you watch it. Skip it.
There you
go. I had two games here. I did put Browns Ravens as first just because this Deshaun Watson thing is kind of like one of those things I can't look at. I can't not look at.
Yeah, train wreck.
So that's just where I'm at with that, but in a good way. But they're a good team, so it's like
like a car wreck.
Yeah, you're like I'm basically like, is Cleveland finally good, but their quarterback's an idiot and he's gonna ruin it? That's where I feel like they're headed, and so I'm kind of in on that.
Defense is fun.
Exactly. But I do think that ultimately this is a Bills-Ravens or Bills-Fins pick.
Yeah, and I think I do worry about that being like a letdown game.
We all are hyped. We are.
I mean, obviously they're not gonna score 70 again. We'll see. We'll see what they do. I mean, obviously health matters, and I repeat the mantra a lot that it's early. But if things continue to go the way they're going, Tua's your MVP this year, so you're interested to see if that continues.
Yeah, that's wild. I again, Tyreek Hill for MVP, but Tua has been really awesome. I can't hate that, and gotta love the coach.
Unfortunately,
the way
Tyreek Hill can only catch when the ball comes to him.
That's okay, but that's why
other people too.
I don't care. I'm using the Steph Curry argument that he creates a space and he creates
I mean,
the flow.
that is true. Oh, you know what? I wanted to bring this up, and I don't know where it's going to fit in, so I'm going to bring it up right now. I heard Greg McElroy, former Alabama quarterback.
Oh, I know the bitch ass you're talking
from the
about.
South Lake, and he was when they were talking kind of through like the prime kind of like public ego type stuff, and like people saying they're the best type thing, and he just kind of out of nowhere was like, he's like Richard Sherman. He always says he's the best cornerback, but he never played in man once, so I don't know how he could say that. I was like, oh damn, that's a good point.
Oh shit, yeah, he did have like a really specific side and shit too, didn't he?
The Seahawks played a lot of cover zones and stuff, if I remember correctly. But any X's and O's person, feel free to point out my mistake there.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I think that's the way it goes though. But I just thought that was funny, and I didn't know where else to fit that in. But I just thought about it.
That's a good burn. That's a good burn, especially since that's Skip's new co-host. I think it's deserved. Or one of them. One of the many rotations. So Caesar, we agreed with you on the watch it. Caesar, I do not agree with you on the skip it. He picked the Broncos Bears. I think that's an appalling thing to skip. Appalling. I think that's, come on. Is that not one of the most beautiful train wrecks we'll ever get? Is fate ever going to intervene into a world and give us this game at the exact time in which we've been given this game? This is fate. And you're going to turn that off? No.
You run into a lot of this and I like this segment. I like us talking about these games, but you run into a lot of kind of overlapping Venn diagrams with some of these definitions.
Yeah, I know, for real.
But I'm going to skip Broncos Bears because I do not enjoy watching fundamentally bad football on both sides.
And I do.
It's one thing to watch good teams like do crazy stuff even if it's bad. It's another thing to just be like, I don't understand how this is $1 billion organization.
Exactly. God damn it. Yes, especially mine. Ugh. Anyway, I personally pick skip Cards 49ers because there's no fucking way I want to watch the 49ers do what my team should have done the week after they should have done it. Not going to do it.
And I also don't think you would really enjoy watching the 49ers doing what your team did because you would just be like, well, that's not really who they are.
That's true too, yeah. Even if, honestly, if the Cardinals win, then I'm like, yes, narratives. Narrative win. I also put Falcons Jaguars as a potential here for the skip it.
It does seem like one of the more relevant games in the schedule this year.
It is.
I say that, and then it's going to end up being a Super Bowl preview.
I think the Jags will bounce back. I think the Falcons are a decent team, and they're hard to beat, but they're kind of stunted. They'll probably be like a just below or just above 500 team, depending on how good the other teams in their divisions are.
They're starting the build.
Yeah, exactly. And then my train wreck, Caesar took the Chargers and the Raiders, which is fair. That's not a bad train wreck pick.
To be fair.
But I think Broncos Bears is the greatest train wreck of all time. I think it's watch it and train wreck combined.
Definitely has the potential to be. I think you could swap out. Well, no. Honestly, I think there's going to be some Viking Bears games this year that have the potential to be kind of similar, depending on.
Not that down on the Vikings, but yeah.
Depending on what the fourth quarter looks like in those games, we've got a knack for the train wreck.
So yeah, I would say
maybe it's not that the whole game's a train wreck, it's just that the ending's a train wreck.
I think the two common things that Caesar and I have is that hot seat head coaches are big time parts of these two games. Like Sean Payton might have his Denver era over before it ever begins, which is kind of crazy, right?
I wonder about that if
this is bad. And if they lose to the Bears,
would be more willing to just nuke it and let him start it over and pick him over Russell or whatever, or if they would actually nuke the whole thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that is Elway still making decisions out there?
I think he actually relinquished some of those duties, but yes, I think he's still a part of it.
I don't know what happened ever since they won the Super Bowl, but
I mean, think about how they put that Super Bowl team together. They didn't do anything too crazy. Like they hit on
They
some
built
free
a bunch of
agencies,
defense.
got
Yeah.
good draft picks. You know, they did the norm. They got the
They stole the
quarterback at the
Marcus
right
Ware.
time. They built the team, and then the defense was so good that the quarterback thing just worked itself out. Kind of a miracle.
The quarterback who couldn't throw the ball more than 2 feet in front of him somehow.
I don't care. My favorite Super Bowl of all time. Peyton Manning's the GOAT for going out like that in my book. I don't care. Um, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Kellen Moore maybe gets the head coaching job if the Raiders beat the Chargers, because that could certainly be a future there.
Like I said, Staley probably should have been fired after last week. Yeah, Kirk saved his ass.
So we're looking at it a rough week for some head coaches to start the season, even though it is early and it's a long season. We'll finish up unless you have any other things. You agree with those? I don't think you have any other ones.
No, I'm trying to remember if there's anything that stuck out, but yeah, I'm gonna be skipping Falcons versus Jags absolutely.
And for the people at home,
I'm interested to see what happens in Broncos Bears, but I'm not gonna watch 3 hours of that.
Well, yeah, I don't have League Pass, so when I say this, I'm metaphorically watching these games. I'm really just stuck with whatever I'm given. And then you're always going to watch the Cowboys, and usually
you also have the internet.
I have the internet, but then that's just more effort, and it's like, do I care? I'm like, maybe if I do, I'm just going to go to Red Zone, you know. So,
Red Zone is absolutely crack. I can understand for some people why that's. Oh, it's not even like I don't even feel like I'm watching football anymore. It's weird.
It's definitely better focus for the fantasy type fans too.
Yeah.
But yes, that's that segment. The last segment we usually do is the hype up for the week. I didn't include your team in this, or I didn't include your team in the train wreck or skip it. What are you looking at the fact that your PPE loans?
Is that who I am? I don't think I understand. I'm trying to understand what all these are.
Purple people eaters, but it's also PPE.
Oh, okay.
So, because y'all are bad, and I just decided PPE was funnier this time.
That's fine. I guess I've never thought to see it abbreviated.
And then the Panthers are screwed, so they're the Pussycats right now. If I was a Panthers fan, I would refer to my team as a Pussycat until they were good again, because that's how I treat my teams.
Panthers.
Like this year, like this week. I am not a Cowboys fan. I'm a Fuckboys fan. When they act like that, they're the Fuckboys. They're not the Cowboys. All right, so we have the commies and the infinitely hilarious Sam Howell heading into Filthy to give them some extra confidence that they'll eventually blow later down the road. Do you think that game goes any other way but Phillies?
Only in that it's the NFL, so maybe. But
and Washington sort of has had like their number a little bit, but it's not. I don't think that means
I would just say 8 times out of 10 with these rosters, Philly's winning this game.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I want Philly to keep trucking, blow the load early, baby, because my narrative is good. I just have to create my narratives as I go. So this is my new one. Philly, let's blow the load early. Oh, let's go 17-0, baby. Let's go. The Purple People Eaters and the Pussycats will also play. You could have argued that those belonged in another one of our skip it whatevers, but I omitted that since we were going to talk about it anyway. I am assuming that this is the first Minnesota win of the season, because the Panthers have looked pretty much hapless. Even though they're not the worst team in the world, they look like they can't do any of the basic parts of football well consistently. So that's a good thing for the Vikings, because the Vikings can at least do some of the parts of football consistently. And if they stop fumbling,
that's
who knows?
That's why it's gonna be really frustrating at like 11-6 missing the playoffs. When you're like, okay, well, this team might have won a Super Bowl if they didn't just fumble the first 3 weeks. But I'm pumping the brakes on that kind of talk. But you know what I mean.
Well,
the early missed opportunities are frustrating. Yeah.
Because there's another situation, right? If the Vikings did lose this game, obviously now you're looking at your head coach and you're like, "Hey, bro, what the fuck?" You're like,
I don't think he's on the hot. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
that's
but
a tough one though. No one's
I
expecting
think the
0-4.
organization. No. But I think the organization's at least willing to give him through to next year to see what that looks like. But we'll see.
Fair. And then the cheaters invade Arlington to play the fuckboys, and they have a couple of our ex-players, and the media's taking a whole thing with it that doesn't feel like it's a thing, but we're gonna make it a thing to sell content. So.
I don't think of who the cheaters are.
Oh, come on. Who else has been cheating in the NFL since we've been watching it?
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Fine. Fair enough.
The fucking
Belichick's coming in
Spygate
for
boys.
the Ezekiel
The
Elliott
deflated
revenge
balls
game.
boys. Yeah,
Didn't
dude,
they
honestly,
just sign your backup quarterback?
And then
Your
they
old
got Will
backup
Greer.
quarterback?
To be fair though, they
Yeah.
needed Will Greer. Like they actually did need Will Greer. Bailey Hoppy was their backup or whatever, and like or
They needed
Zappy.
Will Greer because Bill Belichick saw what happens when you try to get this Cowboys offense to have to do anything new or different. Like,
Yeah,
oh
it's
no,
true.
new hand signs. Oh no, new hand signs. What are we gonna do?
I agree that that's a part of it for sure, because like the fact that the media is running with it just worries me that there's at least one person worried about it seriously. I mean,
No,
it's due diligence, so I'm glad Schottenheimer addressed it and they're doing it, but that's as far as
think
that
part
needs
of
to
the
go.
part of the beauty of Belichick is that it's like 80% smoke and folklore.
Dude, did you hear his press conference today where he he
No.
basically just rattled off exactly like he basically just rattled a fucking scouting list of all the great things about the Cowboys, and it was just
Sure,
like,
I mean that's
God,
what
this is what he does.
Isn't that every
man.
week? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's just every time he does that, it's just like, God, this is how he does it. He gives you nothing but the great football team, future Hall of Famers at every position, great linebacker. When he said Leighton, he went on about Leighton Vander Esch for too long, though. I'm on
Oh,
to you, Bill. I'm on to you. You know
he's got
Vander
a
Esch is
hard
a
on.
problem.
But you know he has a hard on for LVE for the what if that he could do with LVE.
Oh, no, he would sign LVE in a heartbeat, and he might next year, because I don't know if LV's keeping a job at this rate, but we'll see. I like the dude, but god damn, that run defense it's a lot of it's looking like 55 ain't stepping up, too.
Speaking of which, how's that going to look on the Ezekiel Elliott revenge game?
Exactly. Now, to be fair, there's some other stuff about this team that I would honestly be a little bit more worried about than Zeke, but his average looks nice. They're using him well. And our defense has just consistently not shown any sort of real push against the run still. Mac Jones isn't the most elusive dude in the world, but he can kind of get out there and bumblefuck his way around.
He's still young enough to at least scramble for a first every once in a while.
There's not as much to worry about with this team offensively. Defensively, I am still very worried because I just see a lot of holes in this offense for the Cowboys, and it's just like even Pollard. I love Pollard, but I still see us just bashing Pollard, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel right. It feels like this, like, and Dowdle was nice. Dowdle had a nice game against the Cardinals. It just feels like maybe the Zeke thing is what it is, but it just feels like that body is still missing. Even if it never could have been Zeke this year, it still sort of feels like that part is struggling. And because Dak doesn't do the stuff that other quarterbacks do, it's showing off way more in a negative way. And of course, the asshole is going to know that.
You can go back into the conversation about how much should Dak have been playing in the preseason if he's missing guys from last year when you're trying to develop chemistry with. Again, I brought it up earlier, the red zone numbers, which is kind of what everyone's pointing at. These guys he's working with right now, he's got 3 games of experience with them in the red zone. That's about it. So
yeah, and I feel that
that's a very different offensive mindset than between the 20s. You know what I mean? Like,
and a new play caller,
completely different. Yeah. So it doesn't look good, but the idea is that they'll develop that once they have the experience, and that's probably why they should have done more in the preseason. But what are you gonna do?
And that's fair. My issue with Dakota still remains. He's taking stupid sacks. The pocket awareness is still lackluster.
At least he's not falling down and throwing the ball as hard as he can 20 yards behind himself.
I get it. It could be worse. I'm not saying Dak's that bad. I'm
No,
just,
no,
if
it is-
anything, it's
it
really
always-
frustration for him.
In any sport, it's a bad place to be middling.
Yes.
You never want to be middling.
And it's unfortunate because I do like the guy. I think he's got a lot of positives. It's just frustrating that I feel like I've a broken record about him too, you know? Or it's like, and I guess to me, it's also unfortunate for him because I know that the way this team works, even if we all as a world and nation come to the understanding that he is just this and he'll never be more than this, the Joneses won't. And so it's just like, I'm stuck
Or-
with this guy, good or bad. That's why it's like when
Or they
people are like,
do
"Are
it a
you
little
anti-Dak?"
late,
I'm
yeah.
like, "What are you fucking talking about? I'm stuck with this asshole. I want him to succeed more than anything." But I'm not gonna lie about the fucking truth when I see it every week. You know, even in good games, wins, I see this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, post injury Dak doesn't seem to be
it's
where
it's
he's gonna
stunted.
progress.
It really feels stunted.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's gonna progress to where he was aiming to, and it's too bad. And that's kind of where it's at. You
There's
gotta
still
hope it's
time.
not a cramp.
A lot of talent on this team. The offense is tailored towards him now, right? Allegedly. I don't give a shit about them being the best team in football this season. I want them to be the best team they can be in the playoffs, including him.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. This is a great test against a beatable opponent again at home. If you lose, that's bad. I'm not gonna lie. If you lose this game, I do think that's a bad thing. Even if it's a close loss, I just think that it kind of reiterates some points because it's most likely Zeke probably got your ass, a bad turnover or two, and those are just going to look ugly. And then it sucks because maybe it's not fair, but everything you do in that fucking uniform is magnified, and it doesn't matter. So
That's the job.
yeah, for fucking real. So I think the
You get the money
fuckboys
for it.
will be the Cowboys again next week.
Likely.
But they are the fuckboys until further notice. That's the way
Well.
they've got to be. Yeah, I think we've supplied the world with enough content for 1 week.
Yes.
So everyone enjoy that shit and go Rangers, and hopefully no more massive trades because I'd rather just have an easy like last week or last month.
I mean, unless there's just a real shocking twist. I don't think there'll be anything that big as far as
we'll cover the Drew Holiday stuff, but that's minimal. That'll be a quick, hey, this team got Drew Holiday, sweet, let's
Yeah.
roll.
And the fact that the fact that Drew and Dame were both in that makes it that much bigger of magnitude.
Yeah, honestly, I'm hoping it's Philly or Boston so we get a playoff series out of it, but we'll see.
All right, well, let me hit
Later.
one button. How can I make you laugh here? One more. Let's go with...
The honest truth is, we're thinking, well, don't you remember? We're fucking 11-2 Texas Tech, and we're just a little too good to play at Houston.
I think that's a good one, especially because Garner Minshew got the dub this week, you know, and Garner's
There
like
you
the
go.
last, he's the last guy. He's the last Leach guy and left, right? Because Mahomes is after Leach.
At least relevant ones.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, well,
fair enough.
we'll talk to everyone later. Have a good week.
All right.
Like, subscribe, share, do other stuff.
All of it. Subscribe the fuck out of everything. Comment everything. Fucking rate everything.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Buy a
Later.
bot farm in fucking Sri Lanka or something for us. I don't know. Step it up, fans.
Yeah, if you want to pay for that, not you,
Do-
you. If you want to pay for that, let me know.
You.
I'll set it up.
Fans, it's time for you to do your job.
All right, peace out, man. Later.
See ya.
Thank you for consuming this week's Pass the Rock. As always, like, subscribe, share, do all the things that we need you to do for us to grow and for you to get more content that's even better and better. Have a good week. Thanks. Bye.
But we see it for what the fuck it is. Y'all see this shit? Share, fucking share. Share, fucking share.
Adjourn your asses. Well, bye.